Here you can see all three pyramids, but this is the Giza, and this is the Quarry, and that is the Mankara. The three pyramids had different types of casing stone. The Khufu pyramid does not have casing stones at the top, and you really only get a few near the bottom like this, but the Quarry casing stones are very, very clearly way up there, and you can see the thickness of it. Now this is the top of the Great Pyramid. The Khufu pyramid, or the Giza pyramid, the Great Pyramid, the tallest, and as you can see, this is the very top of it. And when you look at it, I'm going to show you a couple shots here. It's really a mess. It's not clean lines like you might think. And those are not changed by man. That's the way they had been. That's the original configuration, but the casing stones have been pulled off. Now the ones at the top, those have been moved around a little bit. I'm sure a couple of layers were pulled off the top. People going up there and throwing the stones off the top over the years. They say after an earthquake in 1300, people started to be able to take the casing stones off. When you look at this picture, by the way, this is from Drone Snap. I got it as a screenshot from their video. And there's one more here. You can really see how chaotic. Look at the edge there. And let me zoom in so we don't have to look at the rest of the city. But look how chaotic that structure is. I mean, it's still clear that there's a pyramid and there's a corner, an edge, but at the same time, it was really the casting stones that brought the precision in to the final pyramid. This guy climbed to the top. You see that stone that he's on. I mean, he's literally touching the next stone down with his... That stone isn't even a meter tall. I mean, I don't know, maybe I can't see, but maybe his foot is not touching that next part. But if you want to see how big that's the pyramid's core stone there. It looks like it's only an inch off the next one down. And you can see that he is sitting on a smaller one. There's larger pieces here, but these other stones look a little larger. But as far as the height goes, they're all about the same. And I think that's the key, is the stones had to be a certain height, and they kind of pieced them in without worrying about their width and their depth. As you can see here, this is a book cover. Zoom in here, and what do you see? Some type of cataclysmic destruction, just an earthquake? Possibly. But when you look at the difference between these casting stones, when you look at that, it looks like the 9/11 airplane crash. Things tearing apart. Man didn't do that. Can you imagine men going up there and tearing into the middle of this field? That's not what's happening here. They're trying to get something that they can work with. There's nothing to work with there. There's no construction material that you could actually take. Here you can see where the material between the core pyramid and the outer shell, you can see this is a casing stone, and this is where it just literally broke off. I mean, is that man chipped that off? No. I think a cataclysmic event chipped that off. You know, you notice these corners all have a little chip. Is that because of man climbing up there to get to the top? Or is that, I mean, why would the chip be in the same exact place on every single one? And here, do you think man went and did that? Why would a man climb up there when they could go lower? I believe that this is some kind of a cataclysmic damage pattern. These look like someone really shuffled them around. And this one is nice because it's pretty high res. But here you can see what almost looks like, I mean, it's so tight that they stacked that in there like that. So tight, but broken off. Man didn't do that. Man didn't do that. No man went in there. These are the core stones, so you're not seeing them fall off. Nobody wants them. They don't have flat edges. But then when you get the casing's nice and flat, so people want that for their construction project. You've got this upright that's clearly not part of the core, but it's also not a casing stone. So it's part of the filler that supports casing stones. This is a casing stone support pillar. And these are the corners of the raw with no casing. You've got these uprights holding flat level that create layers. So those uprights were placed within the blocks of the core, and then there's some type of a filler, like a mortar. I mean, it almost looks like there's a liquid cement mortar poured in there to create the casting stones. Those are the core stones. You've got the debris that's between the casing stones and the core stones, and that's basically what you have here, is that debris filler. Nobody wanted it. I don't know why it's so clean here. Maybe there was a part where the construction technique was different and it fell apart. This debris stuck with it. You can see the core stones underneath. This place is a mess. It looks like a war zone. And the real pyramid is not what you see today. So let's look at this one. This edge shows the distance between the outer corner and the inner edge of the core stones of this pyramid. Between that debris, that edge, you see a lot of those uprights over there. This is the east side. This is the south side. Look at that upright right there. It's like 3 layers of the pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it looks like, yeah, that upright is very big. Nobody went and put these uprights in there to keep this from falling apart. That's the way it is. That's 4,000 years old right there. You can see the uprights all throughout there. Those uprights might have been a target. People wanted the uprights. I think the lower debris, you don't see the uprights. So this was a really thick outer layer. It wasn't just like one layer of stone. It was a whole separate project to put these casting stones on this pyramid. And we don't know where the casting stones are on the Khufu pyramid. We know that they were taken away. But we can see the casting stones at the top of the Khafra. There's the Khufu. There's no casting stones. There's a few at the bottom. Those casting stones, they'd look, I wouldn't want those. Those look nasty to me. They don't look good. And it looks like there really was an earthquake that caused that. It looks like a ripple pattern of that type of a shock, not man-made. 1,300 years. Do you think that people are going to climb up there and take all those stones for their own projects in Cairo? Now here we have the Sphinx from 1923, Pyramids from the Air. This is a screenshot of a video that was taken. I would assume that this was not taken from the air, but it is taken before the Sphinx was uncovered. The paws are still covered. The dream stele is still covered, but what's not covered is the neck. If you look at the Sphinx today, you won't see this neck. You will see supports on the left and the right, and you won't see the edge of the limestone and its weathered lines that go almost horizontally, but they kind of slant. And those lines are a clear, nice, light limestone, but when you look at the face, you see very clearly that it's a completely different material. Now, it is decaying off the limestone. The limestone is visible through this ancient cement. I believe that the Sphinx formerly was a lion, and its head probably collapsed and fell off, and then they put this on there. Or the person was so bold that he cut the lion's face off to put his own face. I think it looks like Khafre. So I think that it could have been done at the time King Khafre was alive. I think it looks like him. So if people who say that's not King Khafre, I would be willing to look into it a little closer. Some people say the nose. Well, this thing doesn't even have a nose. So how can we talk about the nose? And here you can see the modern day supports that have been put under the repair to the headdress. Is that a bird at the top? I think there's a bird. It looks like a bird. That's not part of the sculpture. Okay, that's obviously a time waster. You can see that here. You can see my other video for that. This is a pretty clean picture. I kind of wonder if it's even real sometimes when I see that, especially this part right here. That right there, is that real? Anyways, it looks like a Photoshop job, but that's a pretty clear shot of the pyramid, and you can see the difference, and you can see this edge and the big difference there is between the actual core blocks and the outer shell, which fell off.